Live from the Slackers Sports Bar Studios, this is In the Building with Mike Taylor and Rudy Jay.
Well, I don't know why it happened or what was the cause, or probably just completely coincidental, but I actually saw a couple of movies over the last week or so. And one I've been wanting to watch for a long-ass time. Finally saw The Iron Claw. I don't know that you had any interest at all in Iron Claw.
No.
I'm assuming you have not seen it.
No.
Yeah. Because I grew up, redneck Mike in the 80s as a little kid with my rat tail and feathered hair parted down the middle. I was so into world-class championship wrestling in the Metro Sex. And so into the Von Erichs. Like, there's no way that I would get into that now. No way. I'm way too cocky, way too highbrow, way too high tone, way too bourgeoisie. Like, I could never get into wrestling now. But in the 80s, Rat Tail Taylor, boy.
All white trashy like that?
He was all about it. So finally got around to seeing Iron Claw over the weekend. We're recuperating from a great weekend, a very busy weekend, a very, very busy weekend. A very productive weekend with multiple appearances. I've watched movies, mixed in a little bit of basketball. Hell, even watched a little bit of Formula One yesterday, the Miami Grand Prix. But as you might imagine, Thunderdome, if you're tuning into this, we're only 2 out of 3 today. One, Rudy Jay is out today. He is not here. He is ill. Rudy's sick, so we will not have him today. Good news is we're gonna have this show, and provided I don't run out of material, we're gonna have a members only today too. So if you happen to be watching it live, we normally do these shows at 9 a.m. Central Texas time. And so we'll do our 9 to 10 today. And then at 10:15, we're going to turn around and haul off and do a members only. So be thinking ahead. Jump in here and watch this thing here. Listen to this thing here. Jump in and chat with us if you want to. Be a part of the festivities. I'm usually pretty bad about seeing all the best chats because I'm busy trying to interact with the guys and Rudy, and I'm trying to stay on topic and make sure we get our live spots in and stuff. I'm making excuses. I need to get better at reading through chats. With Rudy out of the room, maybe today will be an opportunity to read some of your better chats. And as always, we guarantee we'll read them and expound upon them if you get in here with a super chat, because we will work for money. This is not a nonprofit organization. We will work for money. So
what do we get for $10?
It allows you to get your ass in here and donate money to the cause, and we will read them all. But we'll read a few today as we get through this time with Rudy, who's been put on the injured list. DJLG is here, and I did see the Iron Claw, and I know you're not interested in it, but so I wasn't sure if I would like it or not. So for those that don't know, the Iron Claw is the biopic, I guess is what you call this thing, based on the rough life and times of the Von Erich brothers that wrestled for a long time in the late 70s into most of the 80s and very early 90s. It was a heroic thing in that area. Guys that put Texas wrestling on the map. The Flying Von Erich brother family, led by the great Fritz Von Erich, who was a powerhouse wrestler in his time back in the 50s and 60s, had 6 boys, he and his wife, 5 of which wound up dying. Only Kevin was left. And so this movie chronicles the brothers, but I guess it takes on the point of view of Kevin. And what I quickly noticed was, and I had read this, I had forgotten because I read a review about this movie, 6 months ago when it first came out, and I wanted to see it. And I had read that they actually left one of the brothers out of the mix. A kid, there was a Chris Von Erich, I believe, and because there was so much tragedy involved, and they had to get the movie in 2 hours, they actually didn't even mention one of the brothers in the movie on purpose because you got 5 tragic tales here. The original Von Erich kid died when he was 5 years old in the late 1950s. His name was Jack Atkinson, was their actual name. 5-year-old kid gets electrocuted to death. And so right off the top, the Atkinson, the couple, Fritz and his wife, Dottie, I think it was, they lose a 5-year-old son in a terrible electrocution accident. And then, as a lot of y'all probably know because you kept up with the Von Erichs in the 80s, if you cared about wrestling, we had David, who died of some mysterious bacterial infection in Japan, which I always wondered about. I don't think he was killed by the Yakuza. I don't think David was butchered by warriors. I think David was probably on drugs.
It's called cocaine.
And that probably exacerbated a viral infection that he had that spread to his guts. And he dies. You had Mike, who didn't even want to wrestle, but he was pressured to do it because that's what they did. If you were a Von Erich, you wrestled. Mike was a free-thinking kind of a hippie musician, and Fritz pressured him to get into the family business, and he didn't want to, and ultimately Mike wound up killing himself. Kerry wound up killing himself. Kerry did it real dramatic. And Kerry Kerry was heavily into drugs, all kinds, way into booze, and fell into a massive depression after a major motorcycle wreck in which he lost a foot, which is unfortunately in South Texas spawned the very infamous Twitter handle @Kerry Von Erich Foot, who likes to chime in very often in the building. Kerry got very depressed in the months and years after his wreck where he lost his foot because he had to learn how to wrestle without a foot, and that was hard, and it set him back, obviously. Kerry winds up shooting himself in the heart. Imagine how difficult that must, how will you get to that kind of a dark place where you decide to go ahead and shoot yourself anyway, but then you do it it's not really easy to shoot yourself in the fucking chest. I don't know if he held it I don't even know how you would hold the gun. Not trying to get graphic or nothing, but the kid shoots himself in the fucking chest and kills himself while they're there at the family house. And Fritz and Kevin find him. And there's this dramatic scene in the movie in which Kevin's finally had enough of Fritz, because Fritz is this overbearing asshole, and Kevin's mad and blames Fritz when he finds Carrie dead and like damn near chokes Fritz to death, but somehow gets up and lets him go. And I don't know how that relationship was toward the end of Fritz's life, but Kevin decided to pack up everything and get the hell out of Dodge. Kevin took his, and as Kevin got older and almost 40 years old, Kevin decided to round up his family and get the hell out of there, and they wound up moving to Kauai, the island of Kauai, which is one of the 5 major islands in the Hawaiian hellscape chain. And he raised his boys on a farm in Hawaii to get as far away from the shit he went through as he could. Kevin recently moved back to Texas. I don't know if he must go back and forth unless he sold his property in Hawaii. I don't know. I can't find the answer to that because he lived in Hawaii for years. Then he winds up in Bernie, of all places, up the street here. So I don't know if Kevin is splitting time between Bernie and Hawaii, or did he just sell his property in Hawaii and just buy a place in Bernie? Because, Kevin's getting older. He's in his mid-60s. Maybe he wanted to come back to Texas to live out the rest of his days in his home state. But anyway, he spent at least 20 years in Hawaii. I would say that no one that I've ever covered in sports, and I'll go ahead and call Wrestling Sports. What's up to Ellie, the official dog of In the Building? I don't think anybody that I've ever covered or cared about has gone through as much tragedy as Kevin Von Erich and kept his sanity. For Kevin to still have sanity and have his humanity and humility after all these years, it's unbelievable. Because he went through more than anybody I could ever think of when going through losing 5 brothers. Of course, he was not even born when little Jack died, but still to go through 4 brothers, all relatively the same age, suicide and shit, just terrible, just terrible, very awful. Mike Cheque is in here. He must have been a Boeing whistleblower. No, I don't think Carrie Von Erich was a Boeing whistleblower, Mike. We've had another death, by the way.
Yeah, they're dropping like flies.
I was almost done with my Von Erich's preview, but what the fuck? Another guy drops dead. And it wasn't like he was 70-something years old.
No.
A dude died last week.
45.
Another 45-year-old guy who decides to come out and start outing some of Boeing's bullshit, winds up, he had some weird infection, right? What happened to this dude?
MRSA or something?
MRSA, yeah, it's like a bacterial infection.
Yeah, it's like staph or something.
Affects the feet and hands, I think.
Apparently.
Yeah, MRSA can be bad.
That one might have been a real death, but the first one I'm questioning.
That guy,
the suicide.
Yeah, he killed himself in the car.
Yeah, of his hotel.
Mm-hmm. As he was getting ready to go testify.
Yeah, as he was going to go testify.
Yeah, that had like mafia hit written all over it.
Exactly.
But the fact that this dude here it's not like there's 8,000 whistleblowers.
Well, there's 10 more have come out since his death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's less than 20. The odds of 2 guys dying young as we're just getting this investigation by the government rolling, come on. It's almost like, and let's say this is a legitimate accidental death. The people at Boeing are like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's not good optics.
No,
that's
it's
for
not.
Sure. Yep.
Not at all.
Yeah, JC, they're dropping like 737 Maxes.
Yes, they are. Jeez. I'm flying to Hawaii on the 27th. I need to check and see what kind
what's the airline?
United.
It's a Boeing.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
well, most of them are.
United's whole fleet is Boeing. American has a bunch of Airbuses, and so does Delta.
Okay. I just don't want the dreaded, what is it, the Air Max?
Yeah, the Max 8 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't want that one. What am I going to do,
apparently
though?
the Dreamliner's bad, too, and that used to be like one of my favorite planes. So.
What do I do if I show up to the airport the day of my flight and realize, it's one of those Maxes?
Pray?
The's nothing. Yeah,
you can't
I know,
do
right?
anything.
Yeah.
You have no
Kiss
choice.
Nina twice on the way out.
You either don't go or you pray.
Well, I'm going. I've got to. I haven't
get
seen
your
my
will
kids.
together. Oh no!
Right? God. Anyway, so if you care at all about horrible, tragic biopics about horrible death and overbearing parents and just mayhem and wrestling, then On a scale of 1 to 5, and I was a huge fan of those days. Loved the Von Erichs. But on no bullshit, 49-year-old Mike, the Taylor Power Index on a scale of 1 to 5 gives the Iron Claw a 3. It was a solid popcorn movie. Love Zac Efron, although his body looks so weird, clearly on HGH or roids or something for the role. Hopefully Zac Efron's gotten rid of that. He looked weird. It was gross. It looked fake, like he had pec and ab implants. It didn't look right on him. It looked gross. And the guy that plays Carrie is the great Jeremy Allen White. Did you watched Shameless?
Yeah.
He played Lip.
And also
Bear.
Yeah, the Bear.
Dude. Yeah. So if by the way, and I cannot recommend The Bear more if you like television, good acting, excellent soundtrack, action, family issues, running a small business, Chicago.
If you've ever worked in a restaurant, you might get PTSD from watching it, though.
No shit. The Bear is the best thing I've watched on television in 10 years, since the end of Breaking Bad. It's that good to me. Now, I don't see them all, so don't hold this against me. But as far as the things that I've seen in the last 10 years, I haven't seen anything as this good since Breaking Bad. Anyway, so The Bear is fantastic. So Jeremy Allen White is a brilliant actor and is fan-effing-tastic as Carrie. Zac Efron's really good as Kevin. I just had to look at his weird body the whole movie. So it's a good movie. It's a solid 3. So if you haven't seen Iron Claw and it's a rainy day and you got the squirts like Rudy, then you can watch Iron Claw. It's good. It's not Shawshanky, but it's good. It's a solid.
I just want to thank
3.
each and every one of y'all for all you've done to your bodies. It's still real to me, damn it.
You bet your ass. Thanks for saying what needed to be said. God, that was one of the first viral pieces of anything that I like. That's 20-year-old audio, I think. That's one of the.
I don't remember.
That is one of the very first things I saw on the internet before this age now where we've got you've got 5,000 clips every day that go viral in this country. That was one of the first real clips that went widespread and everyone's sharing it and stuff on Facebook in the early 2000s. That poor kid there. I loved wrestling. Used to sneak into the Will Rogers Memorial Coliseum in Fort Worth, Texas, so I can see the Von Erichs and Kabuki and the Iceman King Parsons and Kamala the Ugandan Giant and the Freebirds. Loved it all. It was badass. I would go home and reenact it at my house and literally would fly off furniture onto my bed and shit, risking death. And Grandma Becky thought it was great. All right, Bernard's in here. Does Rudy being ill affect the two of you playing Super Bowl of golf qualifier at the Oaks course at the TPC? Leave it to Bernard to bring that up because he's so in tune with what we do as a show. We will not be playing golf today at the TPC. Good luck to Johnny Walker and everybody involved in the golf tournament out at TPC. I hope they raise a lot of money. And, an early congratulations to whatever foursome winds up winning today's qualifier in the Super Bowl of golf. But yes, Bernard, thank you for asking no. Since I'm throwing out thank yous, what else today? Thank you to Slackers. And thanks to everybody that showed up yesterday. Had a great time. We got to be flies on the wall on one of the cooler, probably Sunday setups in all the city celebrating Cinco de Mayo with our guys over at Slackers. We were at the Thousand Oaks location. Really great scene. They had the doors open. The weather, thank God, held out. We were worried about rain. They moved me and Rudy inside. We were originally going to be outside, but they made the decision the night before to go ahead and put us inside because we weren't sure about weather. And obviously, the weather held off. It was nice and cool. It was nice and cloudy, but it wasn't too cold, wasn't too hot. But as it were, we went inside. We made the right decision because you just couldn't predict the rain. But everybody that sat outside had a good time. Had a great scene out there yesterday in the parking lot. They had it all fenced off with all their vendors, and they had the long line, everybody getting their crawfish. And I had the fajitas from El Regio, and they were fantastic. Had some good beer. I turned down more shots than I took because had I taken them all, I'd probably be out 2 today. But just a good time yesterday at Slackers, the official studio home of In the Building. We look forward to getting back out to another Slackers again whenever those boys are ready for another remote. Y'all just let us know. Thank you to the good boys at Slackers. 5 locations in and around the city. And shout out to everybody that works at the Thousand Oaks and 281 location yesterday for having me and Rudy out. So muchas gracias to everybody that showed up for that and had a good times. Mike Cheque, Iceman King Parsons' famous butt. Oh, yeah. He would put his ass on you. Kamala would put his ass on you. That's right. Y'all remember Kamala, the Ugandan giant? His real name was Jimmy Harrison. He was from Biloxi, Mississippi or some shit like that. He'd come out there. No way you can do this bit in 2024. No way. Dude comes out. He's got like this loincloth on. He's got a moon painted on one chi-chi, a sun or something painted on the other chi-chi or some shit. And he was supposedly, he weighed 1,000 pounds. He was half the size of Nate Newton. 1,000 pounds from the jungles of Uganda. It is Kamala, the Ugandan giant. There was actually a $5,000 bounty. Anyone who could body slam Kamala, who supposedly weighed 1,000 pounds, get the. You could win a $5,000 prize if you body slammed Kamala, and it was Kerry Von Erich who managed to body slam Kamala one night and win his $5,000. Yeah, but that was one of Kamala's bits. He would crush you with his giant body into the ropes or into the corner in the turnbuckle. And he would press all that weight on you, and he would like smother you, and you would tap out because the belly was too big. Good Lord, those were good times. Iceman lived. A lot of those guys. It wasn't just the Von Erichs. Was it Chris? The gentleman Chris Adams died early. I think Iceman's dead, but I don't think he died of like drugs and hard living. Kamala, that guy James Harrison, I think he lived into his 60s, and it was the diabetes that got him. He wound up with both feet amputated, seriously, before he wound up dying. He died because he was a great big fat, and got diabetes and died. So anyway, shout out and pour some out to the great Kamala. All right, what else today? I got all my thank yous out of the way. Got my movie review out of the way. J.J. Watt. Did y'all see this? J.J. Watt, the former Texans great, who I used to piss off the 14 Texans fans in town with steroid jokes. I used to call him overrated too, and that pissed off Houston fans. That's okay. J.J. actually has said that he would consider coming out of retirement if DeMeco Ryans, the Texans coach, needs him bad enough. Now, he basically told DeMeco, look, I'm available if you need me, but I hope you don't need me. JJ has continued to train as if he were not retired, just in case the Houston Texans need him. But what he's told DeMeco Ryans, the coach, is that after this season's over, I'm going to stop training the way that I usually train because it's too much. It's too taxing. You know, no one just trains like that unless they're a pro athlete. And JJ wants to stay in decent shape, but he does not want to have to do the training every day, all day that's required to stay in football shape. And JJ's told DeMeco, I'll come back this season only if you need me. But this will be the last year that I currently train like I do, so let me know. It's hard to change your body, man. Well, when you have an NFL body. Because you have to stay huge and insane shape. And that's the average man. I mean, he'd have to spend 8 hours a day in the gym to maintain the size that he's maintained all these years. And he's probably not doing juice no more or HGH neither. Oh, that's just me being an asshole. I didn't say that. Anyway, but it's hard to change your body. So it's like he's 35 years old now, J.J. Watt, I believe, and he's ready to slim down. A lot of these guys wind up getting diabetes, getting heart disease. These bigger dudes, these linemen and these linebackers and such. They get retired. They get on the couch. They get lazy. And all that mass turns into Jabba the Hutt. Turns into flab. And these guys, one of the reasons why a lot of these guys wind up dying so early is because they're just shitty shape. They're just piss poor shape. The key is to stay in great shape, but do it as a regular civilian. You can't have football body till you're 70, but you can maintain good shape. I see guys all the time, they just look awful. And they just look tired. They just look tired they just look tired standing. I've had some like appearances back in the day with guys that had played before, and card shop appearances and radio hits and stuff. Nate Newton damn near died. Nate had terrible feet and knees, bad back, bad everything from all those years of getting hit. And Nate was like 400 pounds at one point. Nate went and had the gas. I think he had the bypass or the stomach staple, one of those procedures, and lost a shit ton of weight. And Nate actually looks really great and has gotten himself in shape. It is hard to stay in good shape when you get done playing. So JJ's like, I'll play 1 year. I don't think Houston's going to need him, though. They won't need him because they're too deep. Houston's good enough, unless they lose 5 dudes, and maybe D'Amico would call him in an emergency situation, but it's not going to happen. All right, what else today? Micah Parsons is in the news. I want to punch Micah Parsons, and I want to punch C.J. Stroud. I fell for it, and I should have known better. I remember last week, me and Rudy did a segment on, they wound up on this podcast, the Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud coming off his Rookie of the Year campaign, Micah Parsons hoping to get a monstrous extension to become the highest paid defender of all time. They did this bit a couple of weeks ago, maybe early last week. They go on a podcast, and they were talking shit to each other back and forth about sports and stuff, and they were having heated debates. It was very Screaming A. Smith, Skip Bayless type shit. And they were arguing over what's the better division, the NFC East, in which obviously Micah plays in, or the AFC North. CJ wasn't even arguing that his own division's the best in football. CJ was giving the reasonable argument that the AFC North is the best division, with Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. Cleveland's a playoff team. Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Steelers are trying to get better. They're still solid. And, of course, the Ravens probably should have, the Ravens would have gone to the Super Bowl had Patrick Mahomes not been alive last season. And so CJ's arguing that the AFC North is way better than the NFC East is. And they had this cockamamie argument. CJ basically owned Micah in the argument, and it was pretty heated. And I'm like, damn, that got heated. All right, I fell for it. It's like a bullshit, fake, made-up gangster rap beef. Those two showed up over the weekend at a baseball game in Tokyo. Micah Parsons and C.J. Stroud went to Japan, probably on, endorsers' dimes, and threw out first pitches together, and we're all high-fiving and buddy-buddy at this baseball game. They're doing a bit. I'm calling bullshit on that, right? That's like the fake, made-up Kendrick Lamar, Drake beef. Punch me for falling for it. So this is what these kids do now in the offseason. They make up fake beefs. Look, man, just get your ass out there and make tackles in December and January. Micah, number 11, out there with Danny White's damn number on. Danny White, he went, a lot of y'all bag on Danny White. He repped number 11 a shit ton more successfully than Micah Parsons has so far. Danny White played in 3 NFC championship games. Yes, he lost them all, but he still got them there. Micah can't get his ass out of the divisional. So the best number 11 ever remains to this day Danny White. You damn right it does. All right. So that's one of my punches of the day. Me and Micah for falling. Micah for not getting any stats in playoff games and not being productive in December, and me for falling for the bullshit beat. All right, Orlando Kell. If you need him, you don't want to have to need him, but the odds are 50% of you married people at some point are going to need him, because in this country, 50% of all marriages end in divorce. If you are in need of a family lawyer, it's unfortunate, but I highly recommend my guy, the official family lawyer of In the Building. It is Orlando Kell. Family law. Maybe you're getting ready to go through a horrible divorce, and you're scared to death, and you got all your emotions on high. And the only thing left to do is go get you a lawyer that can get you through this and make it as, I don't want to say as easy as possible, as less difficult as possible. It's Orlando Kell. Hit him up, 210-775-4995, or you can email him directly at orlandokell.law@gmail.com, orlandokell.law@gmail.com. All right, you sat on your punch all last week.
Yeah.
Do you have one today?
Yeah, I want to punch the arrogant and lazy entry-level employee that doesn't take coaching to be successful, that doesn't listen to supervisors or advice on how to make your job easier, and thinks they know it all and thinks that they can skip steps
Indeedy.
on the line to try to just skip to the top without first putting in, the work.
I've dealt with that a time or two in my career.
And I was going to say the Gen Zer, but this is across all generations.
Oh, there's some lazy
Yeah,
Gen
yeah.
Xers. There's some
Yeah.
entitled Gen Xers out there too.
But you can't skip steps. That's all I could say. You can't skip steps on your way, especially when you're new at a company. Mm-hmm. You got to put in the face time.
At least
you got to put in the work.
At least show respect, even if you don't agree with what they're doing.
Exactly. And if somebody tells you this is how the job is done, that's how you do it. Even if you think you can do it better, you're not there yet. Once you get to that point, then you can start making executive level changes on things. But until you're there, you follow the executives. You follow the rules. You follow the format that's been put in place for however long it's been put in place.
You never want to be the employee that the boss is pained by.
Exactly.
You never want to be the pain in the ass to the managers.
Yeah. You never want to fire off an offensive email to the guy who issues your paycheck.
Right. Now, that is a generational thing, young folks. Y'all are bad about bitching. Now, look, you have rights at your employment. You have employee rights. God knows LG and I have worked for dumbasses in our lives, and we've had legit complaints. But you don't want to be the guy that complains all the time about everything. You do not want to be the pain in the ass or the over-the-top cocky guy who's actually not that great or lazy. You don't want to be that guy. Management starts to look to move your ass out first whenever it's time to make cuts.
Exactly.
The guy that's always in the room is the guy that gets cut first. That's why if you do go into the manager's office, I've filed complaints before. I filed in the 15 and a half years that I was at iHeartRadio before I unceremoniously left. I filed a couple of HR complaints in the 15 and a half years. But I made sure that if I went in there, it was something really, really legitimate.
Well, yeah,
And,
that's
and something that I had tolerated for a long time, probably, before I decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go tell the managers.
That's different.
Because I believe employees should handle their problems. It's like raising kids. And I've taken that philosophy with my kids over the years. Oh, they're having a fight. Hang on. As long as they're not hurting each other, let them argue for a minute. Let them figure it out, And you don't want to go tattletelling or you just don't want to be a pain in the ass to your boss. Especially if you're new and you just got here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you think you can do it better, then there's a way to present that, to say, hey, I've got a suggestion. This might be better. What do you think? Not, hey, I'm not going to do it your way because my way is better.
So fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. So go fuck yourself. You can fire me now if you want to. All right.
Yeah. And no, we're not talking about Rudy Jay. What the hell are you talking about, Mike? No.
I'm generalizing here because
it's a problem.
This is a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Even when I get a new job, like I got this job at UTSA, some of the things, some of the methods, I'm like, well, why are we coming in 6 hours before first pitch? We get the camera set up in like an hour.
Sure.
And then we're sitting around on our hands for a while.
Right.
But I don't question,
Right.
They even I asked about it, and I told them I have this podcast. I can't be coming in 6 hours before first pitch. And I presented it in a nice way.
Okay.
And they excused me.
Right.
But you know what I did? I still came in 6 hours before first pitch. Because I wanted FaceTime with the producers, with the directors.
Yeah.
Because I want to
you're
get
professional.
rehired.
Right.
And I said, when I can, I'm going to come in 6 hours before. But if I absolutely can't, I might be a little bit late.
Right. This goes back to something that I have bitched about for years. The fast food restaurant worker, right? Pick one. Let's go with Wendy's. It's not a glamorous job. It's a shit job. It's a low-paid job. It's an ass whip job.
Yes.
You're probably going to get crappy hours and deal with a bunch of rude-ass people. And there's big pressure in there on you to make sure you get the biggie fries out on time and all this kind of thing. It's a shitty job. However, you took the job. That's the thing that drives me the most nuts. Because I'm not one of these hard ass old school, fuck you, do the job, don't complain. I wish we'd roll back. I wish we'd go back to the days of the early 20s and workers didn't have any right. I'm not like that. But you took the job.
Exactly.
So do the job.
Do the job the way it's supposed to be done.
If it sucks, then deal with that in a professional way. Or don't take the job. Or find another one.
Yeah, don't decide to not put the special Big Mac sauce on because you don't like it. It's supposed to be there.
Yes. They've got over 1 billion served at McDonald's. How many McDonald's are on the earth? 50,000?
Too many.
Too many. But they all make their burgers the exact same way. So don't go in there and bitch about the sauce or sesame seed buns because Ray Kroc's family ain't having that shit.
Ray Kroc still own that shit?
Don't think so. Don't think so.
It's all corporate now.
Yeah. God, I wish I had McDonald's stock in the 50s when he did start out.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No, we've got to this point now where, and this is a younger band. Now, I'm not generalization here. Younger people, maybe my generation was the same in the 90s. I don't remember, but young people now just will bitch about everything at the workplace. Do I have a comfort animal room? No, we don't have a comfort animal room. Well, I'm going to file a complaint with HR. They get wrapped up in social media, like they want to follow. Here's the thing, like a lot of kids will get another job, and I guarantee you they go and they look up everybody they work with on social. Why would you? What the fuck's the point? They immediately start trying to find reasons to be dramatic and shit. Anyway, so yeah, workplace etiquette, we will call it that, lacks often.
It does.
It absolutely does. And I was always taught, and I was taught old school. If you take a job, you go in there with your hat in your hand every day, humbled, and do the fucking job.
Exactly.
You open up and let you express yourself as time passes, and you prove that you can do the job.
Yeah. When I got hired at iHeart and I was doing your job, I was making $8 an hour, a whopping $8. What did I do? I went in there and kicked ass every day.
Right, and with me berating him and being racist a lot.
Exactly. I didn't go in there and like say, "Hey, your intro music sucks, so I'm changing it," or
right.
Like. Right. I don't like Pat on Mantertainment, so I'm going to get somebody else to do it,
Right. You'd have been gone in 5 seconds.
Exactly.
Whether you had a better singer or not, or a better voiceover guy or not.
That's true.
No, I mean, we actually played part of the first segment you ever did with me when I was fucking with him. And he fought through it and fought through my bullshit, and here we are still working together 15 years later, And I'm not saying you should put up with abuse. And employers shouldn't test you by being abusive, but you're going to get tested a little bit. And young kids don't realize that. That's one of the lessons I think we all learn as younger people. I'm being tested a little bit here. Welcome into the room. Jump up here on the tightrope with us. I'm not going to give you a poll. Figure it out. Don't bitch about it.
Yeah.
Go through the test. I had, in my younger days, so I was Mike Taylor, Jr., 25. I was when I got the job at ESPN in 2001, I was 26.
Mike Taylor, Jr., second base.
I was 26, so it was probably the second, probably 09, something like, not 09. It was probably 02, 03, and I had just gotten promoted to full-time. And at that point, I had only done like weekend shows. I was doing Sports Center during the day and like reporting and stuff. And they would go send me out to games and shit. I was just a little peon tape getter, reporter. I had done some little morning shit on Saturday, but nothing major. So anyhow, long story short, the summer of 2003, I want to say, the major afternoon show, Randy Galloway, his partner left. He resigned and went into the business world. So Randy needed a little buddy, a sidekick. And they asked me if I would be Randy's sidekick. And I'm like, wow. Well, and as it turned out, I got fucked. I was lied to. The manager's like, well, Randy told me, I want you to be my permanent guy. This ain't no tryout. You're my guy. And management's like, no, hold up, man. No. And I didn't know this. I spent 3 months thinking that I was the permanent sidekick, only to find out that I was simply the interim until they found the guy they really wanted, and I got screwed. But And that summer, I remember, like, here I am. Oh, my God, I got my dream shot. I'm going to go work with Randy Galloway, who's a legendary dude in the Metro Sex. This is amazing. This can only be good for me. I'm so excited. I've told my whole family. I'm like, y'all tune in. I'm going to be on Afternoon Drive. And Randy, for the first 3 weeks of me working there, annihilated me as a human. That's the dumbest damn opinion I've ever heard. Taylor, you're an idiot. I got abused all day, every day. And I can take it. I can dish it. But this is a guy that I revere, an older dude who's a legend, and I'm being told that my opinions are dumb. Did I even watch the game? Have I ever even, like, I mean, are you a virgin? You act like a virgin. Do you remember the name Tariq Abdul-Wahad?
Is it a basketball player?
Yeah, there's no reason. I mean, he was a rando draft pick for the Mavs. He was their 12th guy. He was the Patty Mills at the end of the bench, towel waving. Randy decided he started calling me the Tariq Abdul-Wahad of the radio station. Basically the least talented man in the building.
I feel like he was building your character as a bit.
And I'm driving home every day not realizing that and just beaten down. Like, oh my God. Imagine it's your dream job and you're being told every day how terrible you are at said dream job.
Yeah.
And I was browbeaten. I would go home and pour my heart out to my wife, my dad, my brother. And I just couldn't figure out, like, dude, I'm trying my best here. I think I'm pretty talented. They hired me to do the job. And all I hear for 3, I mean, I'm afraid, I got to the point where I'd lay out for 20 minutes. I'm scared to open my fucking mouth. And then as time passed, I realized, why are you being a pussy? He's old school. He's baby boomer. Really, Randy's borderline World War II. He's 82 now. This is 2003. And I finally realized, quit being a pussy. It's not going to change. You could be digging ditches, you know. So fuck it. I'm going to put up with it. So I went and had a jersey made. It was a Mavericks jersey. And on the back it said Abdul-Wahad. You couldn't even buy a Tariq Abdul-Wahad jersey. The fucking Mavericks Pro Shop probably didn't sell Tariq Abdul-Wahad jerseys. I had one handmade for me. It was a generic Mavs jersey with no name, but had Abdul-Wahad stitched on it. Showed up at the studio one day with my Abdul-Wahad jersey on, and Randy laughed his fucking ass off for 20 minutes.
Nice.
Taylor, I'm not bullshitting you. And that whatever, I forget, I don't even remember how the show went. Just to prove a point that fuck you, fuck you if you want to call me Tariq Abdul-Wahad, I'm gonna fucking own it.
You owned it.
And no bullshit. 2 days later, Taylor, what are you doing after the show? I don't know. Let's go drink some beer.
There you go.
And there you go.
There you go.
And while I still got made fun of a lot, it wasn't nearly as much. It was a test to see if I could handle being a fucking grown-up. Now, I wouldn't recommend that to. It depends on who's in the room. You can't just be a fucking jerk to everybody that shows up as a test. But you need to be able to take a little bit. It's what makes men in our business respect you.
Well, and also on air, we're somewhat of characters. You know, we have personas built up on air that may or may not be true or maybe a little exaggerated sometimes.
Right. And I went in there all cocky, mid-20s. Fuck yeah, I'm on ESPN. Psh, of course they want me to work with Randy Galloway, Mike fucking Taylor. And I went in there and just got my legs cut out from underneath me. And it was a good lesson that I learned. He was harsh. Honestly, he was. I don't recommend being that harsh. I've never been that harsh to anybody I've ever worked with. But it was a lesson learned that it was a lesson in, hey man, this is a big time show. It's about character and opinions, and we're goofing. We want you to be a member of the frat house, but we're going to haze you a little bit here in your rookie year. And I earned their respect, and then wound up working there 7 years and turned it into the gig down in San Antonio.
Well, there you go.
So that's it.
Is Galloway still on the air?
No, he's retired.
Oh, okay.
He's 81 or 82. He has a place out in Aledo. You ever heard of Aledo, Texas?
No.
It's a suburb of Fort Worth. Their football team's won like 15 state championships in the last 20 years in 5A and 4A. But he's retired, living out in the country.
I know y'all mentioned this the other day, but I saw that Mike Reiner was told to get his shine box.
Go home and get your fucking shine box.
Mike Reiner was let go, as was everybody at the Freak in Dallas.
Did they kill the Freak? Is the Freak done?
It's been flipped. I think they're going
okay.
to Classic Rock or some shit.
So it was
they're figuring out.
a failed bit.
It's iHeart's fault, you know. Mike's in his 70s. He's not going to be Mike in his 40s. Mike's an older guy, you know, and they did not fully commit to it. I'm not making an excuse for Mike. Mike's older. Mike needed better talent around him. Mike needed more dynamic people around him. Me comes to mind, but whatever. I wasn't going to move to Dallas. But they put vanilla-ass people around him. You know, Mike was great and led the ticket in Dallas for years, but with an ensemble cast. Guys that were perfect for their roles. Like Larry David's going to be Larry David.
Yeah.
But he ain't Larry David without that fucking cast either. That show was going to be good because Larry was in it and writing it. But that cast he had, especially the OG cast that were there the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what made... He was Larry David, but the cast made it Curb Your Enthusiasm. And that's what happened to Mike. He was Larry David with a shitty cast. And it failed. And iHeart didn't fully commit to it, and they fucked that up. So I'm not surprised, by the way. iHeart's fucked up a lot of sports talk radio in the last few years, and it's unfortunate. And it's a great company, and it's sad to see because, you know, and I'm not bitter. I'm fine. You know, I got treated, it's as if I was never even there. I think my voiceovers are finally off. Are they still running commercials with my voice on them? I don't think that they are.
I haven't listened to the ticket.
Surely by now I'm completely. It's
time.
as if I was never there. I was a 15-and-a-half-year fart in the wind for them. But it wasn't just. It's not personal. They've got way too many radio stations, and that's a whole different issue. And I could give them a lot of consultation on how to fix it, but they'll never come to me. So fuck them. I'm doing podcast. All right, show brought to you in part by Empire Courier and Private Process. Okay. A brand new sponsor. Look at this. And they're going to sponsor Mantertainment News. So I'm breaking news to you right now, Thunderdome. We have a brand new sponsor, and they are going to, this is every time we do a Mantertainment News, it'll be presented to us by Empire Courier and Civil Process. So I did not know okay, I know what a courier does. I didn't know what civil process meant. And I recently had to go find out when we sat down and we talked to Richard and Terry about them coming on board with our show. And we'll get into that in a few minutes, but we'll talk about what civil processors do in a minute because it's a hell of a fun, sounds like a badass job. But they're going to bring us Mantertainment News. So with that, LG, this is what I get for producing on the fly. It is indeed time for Mantertainment News.
Now, live from In the Building, a guy's favorite segment.
Indeed.
Mentertainment. My God, there's two of them now. Here they are, Rudy Jay
Well,
and Mike Taylor.
all right, thank you. Well, clearly, Rudy Jay is out of the room today with the squirts. So we'll do it without him. That's all right. You a fan of that Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, I would say yes, I am.
He's a weird dude, but he makes very entertaining movies. Is he the same guy in all of his movies? Well, yeah. Is he ever going to win an Oscar? No. But he makes really fun, good movies. Well, it turns out his son's a shitbag. Nicolas Cage's son is under investigation by the Los Angeles Police Department as cops investigate allegations that he punched his mother in the face, leaving a huge black eye and laceration on her eye bone.
Oh, that ain't cool.
That ain't cool. According to the most credible news source in America, TMZ, Weston Cage is this dude's name. Here's a look at Weston. Can you see that?
Oh, God.
Yeah, he looks like a Maryland.
Show that at the camera.
Can they see it? Can they focus on that?
Let me see. There we go.
There we go. That's Weston Cage. Looks like a wannabe rock star. Real pale face, long jet black hair, all in his eyes. It looks like he's trying to be Slash. He looks like Bam Margera from the Jackass movies.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's a dude who's lucky to still be alive with all the problems he's had. Bam Margera. Weston looks like a troubled young man. This is his mom. Very beautiful lady. Probably in her late 50s, early 60s. I'm not sure how old she is. Nick's probably, 65 by now? Nick's probably in his 60s. So this is a kid he had with his former girlfriend, Christina Fulton. And apparently he's had issues in the past with his mom. This went on Sunday night at her house in the L.A. area. They get into some sort of a verbal dispute. It got physical, and Weston winds up punching her in the face. And there's been paparazzi pictures of her, like, out shopping and stuff with a big old... She looks like Mario Barrios did the other night after the fight.
Yeah, his eye was pretty jacked
Except
up.
he won his fight, and this woman did not.
Looked like you on April Fool's Day?
Pretty much. It is one thing to get mad at your mama and yell at her, which I have rarely raised my voice at my mama. Like maybe once or twice. And it wasn't like all out screaming. It was like, hey, mom, chill. Just let me talk. Like that. It's never been like rage against my mother. But it's one thing to get pissed off at your mom. It is another thing. So unless she's trying to kill you, there is no reason whatsoever that justifies you slugging your mother in the fucking face.
No.
Fuck this shitbag.
Shouldn't throw hands with any woman, really.
Never.
Unless
unless she's trying to kill me or she's hurting my kid or something.
Or she kicks you in the nuts hard enough to make you have surgery.
I was only 9 years old. She was 12 and 6 inches taller than me, and that bitch had it coming. I whooped her ass. And yeah, she gave me a fucking hernia. Or
a hooker attacks you in a bar.
Yeah, you're defending your life at that point.
Yeah, I sure was.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying it's never justified, but I just can't think of anything that his mother would have done to lead him to punch his own mama in the face.
What you say about my mama?
That's bullshit. So punch Weston Cage. Nick needs to get... Nick, even though Nick's not with this woman no more, Nick needs to tell this motherfucker what's up.
Nick Cage's movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, is fantastic.
I wanted to see that, and I'm a Nick Cage fan. The Unbearable Weight of what?
Massive Talent.
Massive Talent.
Yeah.
I
plays
deal with
himself.
That. I deal with that.
In the movie. Don't we all?
Does he parody himself in the movie? That's so great.
It's great, yes.
Matt's in here. Did the mud bugs give Rudy the mud butt? No. I had the same food he did. I'm fine.
I'm not down with the straight mud bugs where you got to open them up.
Yeah, it's
too much work.
It's work, and you're not sure you're eating just the meat.
Yeah.
You're not sure if you're eating...
I love like crawfish etouffee or something like that.
That's different. When it's been cleaned for you.
Different.
That's different. Yeah, you got... I tell you this, if you're eating a bunch of fucking crawdaddies, you can't get shit-faced drunk. I'm not saying that's what happened to Rudy. You can't get shit-faced drunk while eating crawfish, though. Because you got to be able to concentrate. You wind up eating guts and shit and brains and... No.
Is it like a lobster where you can crack the claws and get meat out of there, too? Or are they
Some
too
of them.
small?
Most of them are too small.
Yeah, okay.
Mostly it's about sucking the head.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Map. All right. I saw another movie over the weekend that was far superior than Iron Claw. Iron Claw is a popcorn fun movie about tragic suicide. If such a thing can be fun. Whereas Iron Claw is a movie, The Society of the Snow, that's a film. There's a difference between a movie and a film.
This is where they get the plane crashes and they get stuck.
Have you seen it?
No, but I've heard the story.
Yeah, this is the story that depicts the 1972 plane crash in South America in the Andes Mountains that border Argentina and Uruguay. the Uruguayan rugby team was on a commercial flight going from Montevideo, Uruguay to, actually, they were on the way to Santiago, Chile, but they crashed over Argentina in the Andes. It had the entire rugby team and then, many other just rando passengers. It crashed in the Andes Mountains in the wintertime. And this is 1972. Plane, the head of the plane falls, disintegrates, kills the pilots. The tail of the plane falls off. Everybody that was in that part of the plane killed instantly. The belly of the plane somehow skidded on. It miraculously was in a flatter surface. It didn't actually hit a mountain. It was the pilots were able at least to crash it into a flat surface. And so what do you call the belly of a plane?
The fuselage.
What that is? The fuselage. Yeah,
the middle.
The cabin or whatever. It's slid, killed most of the people in it. But there were miraculously, I want to say, 27 people that lived, including 14 members of the rugby team. They all happened to be in that part of the plane.
So make sure you get a middle seat when you go to Hawaii.
Right. I'll try
middle of the plane.
Well, normally I'm in the back with the chickens because I fly cheap.
Yeah.
But at least I'll get my head chopped off real quick and it'll be easy. Dude, this is a story. It's 80% based on true stories. And the producers, and I read about it, because a lot of these stories like this that cover survival, it's hard to give you the accurate story. So I did some research, and the makers of the movie went to great lengths to interview survivors, family members of survivors and shit. They were out there in the Andes Mountains thinking they were going to get rescued. And they're dying. They're 2 or 3, 4, 5 dying a day because they're in the Andes Mountains in the winter. And they're thinking we're going to get rescued at some point. Well, somehow somebody happened to have a radio with them, one of the passengers. And so they had a radio that worked for a good few weeks. Then it finally crapped out. But after 3 weeks, they heard the news. There's this horrible scene where the survivors are all huddled around each other. And they're listening to the news, and the news is the search for the Andes airplane crash has been called off. It's been, the weather's too harsh. It's too hard for authorities to get that high up the mountain, and they're going to have to wait till the springtime to go back up there and try to find the wreckage. And you can imagine the despair. Here they are. They've been holed up in the mountains for a week. All their chums are dying every day. And then you hear the search has been called off. We're fucking alive. We're here. It's just the most hopeless scene any human being can ever be in. They wound up, and I think there was 7 total survivors, I want to say.
Damn.
By the time, so 2 of them finally decided, fuck this, we're going to leave. 5 of them stayed behind. 2 of them hoofed it. With no mountain climbing gear, decided to hoof down the mountain. This is enough. This is done. We're all going to die. We might as well die trying. 2 of them were able to scale the mountain finally after 70 days. And they happened to run into some farmer who was down there with a donkey farming and saw them. And they were able to tell their location and everything and send helicopters up there and risk. I mean, there was a risk for the helicopters. Got them out of there. I don't want to give away too much. Jesus is right. The movie Alive, made in 1993 with Fort Worth's own Ethan Hawke, is about this event. I haven't seen Alive, but I just saw Society of the Snow, and it's done by Uruguayan movie producers. So there's subtitles, so they're speaking Spanish. But I don't know how good Alive was. This movie was fantastic. Really good movie. Just ultimate survival. One of those movies is where I'm feeling shitty because, I got toe jam or, whatever.
Your bunions acting up.
Bunions acting up. Yeah. I ran out of coffee creamer now. I got to go to fucking H-E-B and get creamer now. It makes you rethink your problems in this world. So, it also, it's a lesson to what the human condition can do. We are so much tougher than we think we are. Although a lot of us are more tougher than we think we are. A lot of tough guys wouldn't make it 2 days in the Andes Mountains. It's all in the brain. And it helped a lot of these kids were young. So horrible, horrible story that wound up good for at least 5 of them and all that kind of thing. All right, Empire Courier, man. I know what a courier does. Do you know what a civil processor is, or did you know before I told you what they were the other day?
He's the guy who brings you your divorce papers. He's like, you've been served.
That's right. Not just divorce. It could be eviction notices. It could be, hey, you're getting ready to get sued. Or, hey, man, we're going to repo your car. Richard and Terry act as intermediaries for companies that need to serve you. They serve a lot of lawyers. They work for real estate agents. A lot of times, they work for HOAs. A lot of times, HOA people that run HOAs have a hard time with like neighbors that need to get the fuck out, or they're scared of them, or they're crazy, and they'll hire Richard and Terry to help them tell these people, y'all got to go. Shit like that. I sat down with Richard and Terry a few weeks ago, and he shared with me some stories of his life. Basically, so it's a husband-wife team. Basically, Terry finds them, and Richard serves them. And I'm like, dude, are you like, you have to take a gun with you? He's like, a lot of times, yeah. He always has a stun gun, a legal, he has license. Because you never know when you're going to run into somebody who don't want to get served.
I imagine that's most people.
Dude, yeah, but the way they handle it. He told me some effing stories that I'll share this week as we introduce Empire Courier and Civil Process. I just couldn't believe it, man. You know, have you met Richard? He's a big dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to fuck with Richard. He's a big dude. But he's been in some dangerous scenarios. Threats from people. He told me a story. He was serving a lady, and she comes to the door, and she's like, what do you want? I'm just here to give you, I'm not the one suing you.
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, I'm delivering this. That's it. And she's like, fuck you, I'm not taking it. He's like, I'm sorry, I have to give it to you. And she has 2 pit bulls in the house with her, and they're just going ape shit, barking at the door. She runs to the back door, kicks the back door open, tells the dogs, get him. 6'2" pit bulls on Richard. He goes ball racing across the yard, leaps into his car like fucking the Dukes of Hazzard, and like was about to go grab his stun gun, and those dogs are like on his car door, just rah, 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 trying to maul him to death. And he's like, that's just one scenario that Richard has had to go through serving people. And Richard provides a really good service because they're like, some lawyer, some law firm trying to get a hold of your estranged spouse, can't find him, trying to serve this motherfucker with divorce papers. Richard and Terry will go find him and serve him for you if you're a lawyer. You know, if you're a real estate agent or you're an HOA or you need to evict a renter, maybe you own a home and you're having issues with a renter. Maybe you're scared of the guy. Call Richard. He'll at least make sure that they get the papers served that way legally. They've been served, and you can take action. They're also licensed couriers. They're also notary publics. A lot of times people need a notary, and they don't want to take the time to do it. They will mobily do it for you. Richard will come out to your house or meet you somewhere and notarize something for you. You don't have to go to an office to get something notarized. Richard will just come out and do it for you. It is Empire Courier and Civil Process. The number is 889-1643, 210, of course, area code. 210-889-1643. You can email Richard directly. It's RR Empire. It's Richard Ramos. So it's RR in his initials, rrempire@mac.com. rrempire@mac.com. They find them and they serve them. Yes, kind of like Dog the Bounty Hunter. Jesus, so is he like the Mexican Dog the Bounty Hunter? No, he's not a bounty hunter. Like, he's not going to go arrest people, but he does get paid to find them and serve them. Hell of a job. So that's our new Mattertainment News supporter, Empire Courier and Civil Process. Muchas gracias to our new partner on In the Building. All right, show brought to you in part also by Texas Cheer Liquor. Muchas gracias to Texas Cheer. Me and Rudy had a good time out there on Saturday with a 2-hour appearance. We got hooked up. I found me a taco truck, by the way. I'm hiring the taco truck that Texas Cheer Liquor had out there. Cool bit. And the food was great, so I needed them for a party this week, for a private party. We're celebrating Nina's son's graduation from Trinity. I hired the taco truck that served us up at Texas Cheer Liquor. It is Texas Cheer Liquor. They got 7 locations in the area, including one up in Bernie. And at all 7 locations, all you got to do when you go in there, whether you're buying whiskey, bourbon, tequila, scotch, whatever, wine, Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull, cigars, cigarettes, whatever, it is Texas Cheer Liquor. They always give you $5 off, 5% off rather, no matter what it is you get. So whether you spend $5 or $500, 5% off when you mention In the Building at all. Texas Cheer Liquors, the official liquor store of our show. All right, I mentioned this in passing yesterday to Rudy, and I was just kidding, but I got to thinking about it. Here's a name. I'm gonna play generic sports talk guy who says, "Watch out for this name." I'm gonna be that guy today. But honest to God, man. So we're sitting there yesterday and we're doing the show over at Slackers, and we got a couple of Game 7s. I'm as excited for the Stars Golden Knights last night in hockey. And while I'm not that excited to watch Cleveland or Orlando Magic, it was a Game 7, so it was pretty cool. I was into that. Donovan Mitchell kicked ass again last night for the Cleveland Cavaliers to lead them. They were down 18 points, and they come back and win and beat the Orlando Magic, so Cleveland advances into the second round. Donovan Mitchell had 89 points in Game 6 and 7. I think I read a note this morning where the last person in the NBA to score that many points or more over the course of a Game 6 and 7 in a playoff series was Allen Iverson 20-something years ago. Mitchell had 50 points in Game 6, 39 in Game 7, to damn near single-handedly lead the Cavaliers into the second round. He's only 27. Now, he has had a sore knee all year long. So that worries me a little bit about Donovan Mitchell. I'm going to make a point about this. Why the fuck's he talking about Donovan Mitchell? Mitchell has battled knee issues all year, but he's continued to play, and he was amazing in Game 6 and 7. So obviously, Spurs fans, we would need to get to the bottom of why his knee's been hurting all year. So I cautiously, as I talk about Donovan Mitchell here, I caution with, hey man, how's that knee? Hadn't kept him out of games, but he's icing it during quarters. He's hobbling around, but he's still able to go out there and kick ass for Cleveland and leads him to a playoff series victory for the first time in a while. So assuming his knee's okay, he's only 27. I think next year's the last year on his contract. I don't think he loves being in Cleveland. I've read rumors on ESPN.com. I think it was might have been that Brian Windhorst. And I also think that Mark Stein, that noted NBA writer, has also intimated that Cleveland wants to sign Donovan Mitchell to a long-term extension before next season because they don't want to get left hanging out to dry next summer because, let's face it, he probably don't want to stay in Cleveland unless he's getting the max money, and he's fine because Cleveland ain't no place you want to spend much time. So I've read. So Stein basically says, if Cleveland, as good as he's been for them since the trade, if they can't get Donovan Mitchell on a long-term deal, they may look to trade him. Therein lies the reason why I brought this up. Assuming his knee is fine, Donovan Mitchell is still only 27 years old. It's easy just to say, oh, here are the best players in the league. That's true, and he's one of them. But then the next question is, would he fit in well with Victor Wembanyama? There's where I'm going. The naked eye, little 5'9", half white, half Mexican, red Mexican idiot from the wrong side of the tracks. I'm just saying. Shout out to OJ's ghost.
I'm just saying.
Still weird to think he's dead. Mitchell strikes me as a guy who would be a good Spur. Just saying. Does he not have Spur written all over him? Now, at that knee shot, or he's going to have major knee issues, I ain't trying to go through that. You know, you've heard all year long that Trae Young was being linked to us. I don't know why that's the case, but we just keep getting lumped in with, well, it's because we need a point guard. Y'all give me Donovan Mitchell over Trae Young all damn day. He is a much better basketball player all around than Trae Young is. Much better than Trae Young all around is. I'm just saying, he's going into his final year. He's only 27. I doubt he wants to be in Cleveland forever. Who knows? He may sign the max contract with them this summer. But boy, he looks like a Spur to me. Just saying. Shout out to Antonio A. Great time at Texas Cheers Saturday, meeting up with you and Rudy. Me and the wife had a great time. Great tequila. Good to see you, Antonio. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate you hard. All right, show brought to you also in part by GC Services Roofing and Construction. They do residences, commercial, and solar installation. If you've thought about finally getting into the solar game, saving electricity, getting off the grid, they do solar too at GC Services Roofing and Construction. If you're a commercial building and you've got roof issues, boy, this is where roofing companies try to come in here and charge the bejesus out of people to take advantage of the fact that that's their business. Well, you want to go out of business? You better get a new roof. It's going to cost you a couple of organs to do it. That ain't the case at Thunderdome Zone. GC Services Roofing and Construction. If you have a house, maybe you're not sure what kind of condition your roof's in. Maybe you have an older home and you're worried about it. Storm season's here. God knows whatever goes on with your roof. It is our guys at GC Services Roofing and Construction. Call my guy Russ at 210-347-0426, 347-0426, or gcservicesroofing.com, gcservicesroofing.com. All right, I assume Rudy's back in the room tomorrow. He probably feels guilty for missing. He hates to miss work. It wasn't as good without you, but we made up for it. We did a good job. All right. Matter of fact, we have such good momentum going right now. I'm back in, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 10, 15?
Well, technically 5, but
Oh, okay. Technically 5. I'm going to go take a leak, grab a cup of water, and come back and do some members only. And y'all want to be a member and see the members only exclusive content? I'm gonna get some more water, take a leak. This is normally when I get to storytelling mic time during the members only portion. So y'all stick around if you're a member, or if you're not, become one. It's $6 a month. That's it. So $6. That's it. Members only coming down momentarily. It is in the building. See you boys tomorrow, or I'll see you next on Members Only. Love you hard.
this program was made possible by contributions from viewers and listeners like you. Thank you.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.